Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 258. Sorry about the late drop, folks, but I was sitting around all day, stuffing my face with food, and once again, watching an amazing hockey tournament. What an amazing sport hockey is. I know I've been bloviating about it for the last couple of days, but I'm super excited that it's back. And I literally sat around all day today and watched NHL hockey, ate food, and put in a copious amount of wagers via my mobile app. And it was glorious. I miss the weekends being what they used to be. I miss life being what it used to be. And I want all of this nonsense that has to do with this pandemic most certainly to end. And I see that Australia is going through it now as well. They got some lockdowns going on over in Australia. And for me, I keep an eye on things over there, obviously, because so many of you who listen to this show are from Australia. So I obviously have an interest in what's going on over there, and plus, I just love the country anyway. So to see that you folks are getting hit with some lockdowns now as well, it's kind of shitty, and I hope that things, end for everybody around the world. I know that everybody's going through it, in one shape or form or another, but, personally speaking, I just want this shit to end. And with sports coming back, it is at least a little bit of a return to normalcy for me. So I was not productive today. I literally did not do a thing. My girlfriend and I sat around, we watched hockey, we ate food, and we just hung out. And to tell you the truth, it was glorious. Absolutely glorious. I hardly looked at the news. I really didn't even pick up my phone. And it was nice. I needed that. I needed to kind of chill this weekend and have a bit of a diversion. And the NHL and UFC most certainly provided that. All right, so let's get on to what everybody is actually here for, right? Nobody's here to hear me yip and yap about what I did this weekend. We want to hear what's going on in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Well, when they dumped those documents and they were unsealed, there was an email between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, or Jeffrey Epstein playing Ghislaine Maxwell and Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever you want to call it. But it mentioned the name, and the name was Shelley. And supposedly Ghislaine was asking that Shelley comes out and outs herself as Epstein's girlfriend, obviously to take some of the spotlight off of Ghislaine. That would be my guess anyway, as to what her motivation would have been for having Shelley come out. Well, we're learning a little bit more about Shelley, and the night that this happened, I had a suspicion that this was the person that we were talking about, but I wanted to wait to get some confirmation before, I just go plastering names all over the place. As you well know, I don't really do that. That's not my format here on the podcast. I'm not so much of a deep dive investigative journalist as I am somebody who commentates on the news. So I was waiting for some of the outlets to break the story on who she is. And tonight we have an article from the New York Post discussing who Shelley Ann Lewis is and going into a little bit of detail about what her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was. So, this article is from the New York Post. The headline is, Epstein's alleged secret girlfriend revealed as children's book author and entrepreneur. This article was authored by Lee Brown. All right, what is the deal with all of these weird-ass, if they're not child abusers, friends of child abusers, girlfriends of child abusers, wives of child abusers, being involved with children's charities or children's books or anything to do with children? It seems like it's just part of the MO for these people to try and be involved with charities and being involved with kids and all this other nonsense as cover to their other behaviors. What else could it possibly be? All of these people we have discussed that are directly implicated or who have been enabling Jeffrey Epstein are all involved in charity, with a good portion of those charities having to do with children. And now we have another one, like the Carol Carol Baskin of the Windsor family, a.k.a. Fergie. Another one writing children's books. Another one with access to kids, huh? Who would buy their kids a book that was penned by Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend? I mean, I'm not a parent, so maybe I'm talking out of my ass over here, but I know if I had kids, that certainly she wouldn't be on the preferred authors list. Let's just say that. Jeffrey Epstein's secret girlfriend was a children's book author, nicknamed Chocolate Sauce, who touts herself as a spiritual entrepreneur and runs a sacred space in the Big Apple, according to a report. Well, there you have it, folks. He was dating the great Zoltar, huh? What in the world? I mean, so this lady was a woods witch? Was she, hanging out in Wiccan circles, conjuring up stick figures like in the Blair Witch Project? Chocolate Sauce, that was her nickname? Jeffrey Epstein's secret girlfriend was a children's book author nicknamed Chocolate Sauce. I would like to know the genesis of that name. How do you get the nickname Chocolate Sauce? See, growing up, my family and friends called me Little Rob. Well, that's because my dad is Big Rob, right? Robert Jr. How do you come about the name Chocolate Sauce, though? I would really like to know how she got that moniker, who gave it to her, and what sort of nonsense she performed to gain that title, because that is not really the kind of name that you would run around calling yourself, you would think, huh? But then again, when you have somebody who's a spiritual entrepreneur, whatever the hell that is, and runs a sacred space in the Big Apple, whatever the hell that is, then I guess the name Chocolate Sauce is fitting. News of a previously unknown girlfriend first emerged in the latest trove of unsealed court documents in which Ghislaine Maxwell was shown to have begged Epstein to get Shelley to publicly announce in the 2000s that she, not Maxwell, was the pedophile's ex. And again, like I was saying in the opening there, it's that the tactic obviously was for Ghislaine Maxwell to get that spotlight shifted. But why Chocolate Sauce would agree to something like that and have the spotlight shifted to her and her chocolate saucity, I don't know. And again, I guess that strategy didn't work out very well anyway, because Chocolate Sauce was never outed, right? We didn't know anything really about Chocolate Sauce until recently. So I guess that was another one of Ghislaine Maxwell's plots that didn't work out so well for her. Now she has been identified as British-born author Shelley Ann Lewis, 43, who was a frequent traveler on Epstein's private jet, including trips to his so-called Pedo Island, according to the Mail on Sunday newspaper. Well, isn't that nice? Another person that's always going to tell us that she had no idea what was going on. Chocolate Sauce had no idea that Epstein was a sick bastard. Don't you know she's busy doing her Reiki training with the great Zoltar in her safe space in the Big Apple? I mean, are these people for real? A spiritual entrepreneur? And I'm sure some of these jagovs in so-called polite society were falling over themselves, hand over fist, to give Chocolate Sauce their money for a little bit of spiritual work. I mean, what's next? There going to be some spirit cooking going on here? Dancing in the Bohemian Grove? Shelley was always very well connected and beautiful. I am shocked and saddened, a former colleague told the UK paper, of her apparent romantic ties to the notorious late pedophile. And remember, folks, Jeffrey Epstein is accused of abusing girls all the way up to his death. So I'm pretty sure that Chocolate Sauce would probably know a little something about a little something. And I would think it would be a good idea if Chocolate Sauce would go ahead and pour a little bit of that sauce into the investigator's laps. Lewis refused to comment to the paper, but appeared to have deleted her social media accounts before the latest document dump. She knew it was coming. She was made aware. Somebody called her and told her that this was on its way. The documents were getting dumped, and Chocolate Sauce was going to get outed. She would have been 22 when she is said to have started dating Epstein in 1999 when he was 46, meeting while she worked in the contemporary art department of Christie's auction house in New York. What do you know? Jeffrey Epstein trying to poach more women at an art place? Isn't that Maria's story? Isn't that what Maria told us? And then Guggenheim and the rest of them tried to deny it? Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, well, he had an MO, and Jeffrey Epstein operated in a certain way. And art schools and art graduates and girls who were artists were all part of the people he wanted to bring into his circle to abuse. And what we have here now, folks, is just another bit of meat to add to the sandwich that goes towards proving once again Maria's story about what occurred with her and the other shitbag institution, the New York Academy of Arts. See what happens when you read all of these articles, you put the pieces together, you start adding things up, and here we are, 583 articles deep, folks. 304 straight days with a new episode. And when you read all of these episodes and you put everything together the way we have here, you pick up on little things like this, things that add context. And again, the New York Academy of Art and the rest of these kind of art institutions are just dens of scum and villainy in my opinion. And the way they came out and tried to lie about Maria and what occurred with Maria, it's just beyond the pale. But the point of the matter is this. Again, we're seeing another art department, another art company involved in a Jeffrey Epstein scheme, a Jeffrey Epstein plot, and another situation where other people were being abused. Lewis previously praised an unidentified mentor who was so original in all his thought processes that he couldn't even see the box, according to the report. My already inquisitive and curious nature evolved. I supposed it gave me a kind of anything is possible mentality, she reportedly said. So obviously she's talking about Uncle Jeffy, as the Dubins would call him. Obviously, she was ensconced by this man's spell, caught up in his web. And another person who must be spoken to. If you were this close to Jeffrey Epstein, if you were one of his girlfriends, somebody that was always around him, you must speak with the authorities, either on your own or you must be subpoenaed and brought in kicking and screaming. I have a hunch that someone named Chocolate Sauce isn't going to do too well under the keen eye of some interrogators, by the way. She now runs a spiritually oriented children's publishing house named after her nickname, Chocolate Sauce. No. Absolutely unacceptable. This lady should not be running any sort of children's publishing house, considering who she was shacked up with, who she spent time with, and who she heaps such high praise upon. Absolutely not. And parents out there, remember, anything by a publishing house named Chocolate Sauce is from Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend. As well as a Big Apple meditation center, Sacred Space New York, which aims to help New Yorkers unplug from the frenetic pace of the city and cultivate practices for inner peace. Well, those are gonna, do her well if she doesn't come forward and speak to authorities and they decide to prosecute her. Then when she's in her jail cell, she can do all of the meditation she wants and, she'll be nice and relaxed. And when her new cellmate finds out her fantastic nickname of Chocolate Sauce, well, I'm sure that her friend, our newly found friend in her jail cell, will have a great time with that name and with her. Again, folks, honestly, all kidding aside, I don't know what she knows or what she was involved with, right? But she must answer questions. Anybody that was this close to Jeffrey Epstein has to answer questions. They have to be sat down under oath, and they have to answer for what they have seen. And if they were involved or they were complicit in some way, they must answer by facing criminal charges. Lewis also wrote a best-selling children's book, A Key to the Heart, that garnered praise from the likes of First Lady Laura Bush and Harry Potter series author J.K. Rowling, along with spiritual blog articles. Her bio states, well, I'm not shocked that one of the Bushes would heap praise on somebody who was Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend. Not shocked at all, considering the Bushes are a family of criminals, war criminals and worse. The self-titled spiritual entrepreneur was tied to Epstein in part by flight logs from the period, many of which showed her flying alone with him to New York and his private island, Little St. James, the Mail said. And again, that's why these flight logs are so super important. That's why they add so much to the story. So we have the flight logs, then we see her name in the new documents, and you put the pieces together, right? You do a little bit of the work there, the detective work, you put the pieces together, and then the whole picture begins to emerge. While she has not been accused of any wrongdoing or tied to the allegations against Epstein, she could be of keen interest to prosecutors or lawyers for Epstein's accusers, sources told the UK paper. Again, that's for sure. In my opinion, that's for sure. Anybody who was around Epstein had intimate knowledge of him, and obviously she had very intimate knowledge of him, must be brought in and must be spoken with. Miss Lewis may have information which could be valuable and which could aid survivors who are seeking compensation from Epstein's estate. We would urge her to tell the FBI what she knows, an unidentified lawyer for some of the survivors told the paper. Yeah, and I think that's good advice, right? Especially if she doesn't have anything to hide. If you have nothing to hide and you were hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, my advice would be to get in front of all of this. Get out in front of it, explain yourself as best as you can, and hope you have some receipts, because I have to tell you folks, it does not look good for all of you polite society scumbags when you're cavorting around with Jeffrey Epstein after his first conviction even, and then still hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell. It's not on us to not criticize you for your behavior, for your enabling of these sick bastards. It's up to you to not hang out with them. Lewis divides her time between New York and her native Britain, where she co-owns a $1 million apartment with her sister in West London, the Mail said. She has not responded to the paper's request for comment. Her father, Brian, a retired millionaire businessman, told the paper he felt very sad for Epstein survivors. I've not seen my daughter for ages. I have no idea what she would want to say, he told the Mail on Sunday. And again, another one of these ladies, girls that had something to do with Epstein, that didn't have a relationship with her father or her parents. It was like Epstein searched those girls out almost, huh? Epstein was a master at manipulation. He was a master at setting traps. But all of these girls and all of these ladies who worked with him, such as Sarah Kellen, such as Adriana Ross, such as Leslie Groff, such as the rest of them, and girlfriends such as this, well, they don't have that same protection of being called survivors of Jeffrey Epstein or victims of Jeffrey Epstein. They worked for him, they worked with him, and they worked hand in hand to make sure that the criminal operation continued to run smoothly. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that are relevant to this episode can be found in the description box. And to everybody who has donated to the GoFundMe, thank you all very much. As for me, I will be back tomorrow and we will do it all over again. I hope everybody had a great weekend and I will talk to you all tomorrow.